Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are looking at the Commando today. So, this is about the 25-ton Battletech Commando. Starting off at Sarna.net, so we can get some of the back history, description, and all the other variations that have been produced for this mech. One of the first things I do want to open up with is to say that this, I believe, is the first mech that we've hit so far that is not part of the original 12. Although it did come out in the 3025, and I think it has changed because I think a lot of the mechs that were in the 3025 by the lawsuit from Harmony Gold had to get changed to some degree. So when we look at the pictures, things had been changed overall throughout the years, whether just through variant upgrades or just reimagining the mech in general. Okay, so in 2463, Coventry Metalworks, then known as Coventry Defense Conglomerate, introduced their second battle mech, the COM 1A Commando, designed by Andre Barclow, created by the Lyran Commonwealth Armed Forces. And one of the first mechs ever designed for reconnaissance, the Commando was much lighter and faster than its predecessors, though it still utilized primitive battle mech technology. The Commando was able to destroy much heavier Cretan gladiators during the first large scale battle between battle mechs in 2475 on Nox. The installed large laser caused several problems, and soon other mechs, such as the Wasp in 2464 and the Stinger in 2479, were reintroduced and were better equipped for scouting and even mounted jump jets. The Commando's profile was radically changed with the introduction of the sophisticated COM 2D variant in 2486. Which exchanged the laser weaponry with short range missiles and turned the machine into a striker. With only 4 tons of armor to protect itself, the Commando was not meant to participate in a stand up fight against heavier enemies, but it excels at hit and run tactics and as a scout hunter. The Commando became popular among the LCAF forces and nearly 600 years later is still mainly in use by the Lyrans. The Commonwealth went to great pains to keep the mech solely in Lyran hands, especially during the years of the Star League. It took an alliance with the Federated Suns and the creation of the Federated Commonwealth to break that stronghold. The Commando was chosen as a standard light battle mech for the armed forces of the Federated Commonwealth next to the Valkyrie. And after the upgrade of the Com 5S model in 3050, Vandenberg Mechanized Industries was allowed to produce the old Com 2D for the Tauran Defense Forces. Other or over the other, let me re-say that. Over the succession wars, the Commando ended up in the hands of numerous mercenary companies as well, resulting in the proliferation of 2D refits, commonly called the Dash 7 series. Furthermore, the Martin hegemony deployed the rocket launcher packed Com 4H, um, and the Word of Blake produced its own Com 7B variant during the occupation of Coventry in 3068 to 3074. All right, looking at weapons and equipment, the standard Com 2D Commando carries two different SRM launchers, a Coventry SRM 4 and a Shannon 6 shooter SRM 6, each with 1 ton of ammo. The secondary weapon is the Defense B3M medium laser produced by Defiance Industries on Heparis 2. The weapon load can cause a lot of damage for a light mech and makes the Commando an effective striker, especially when used in groups. An often used tactic for those in a rush upon a single target. Concentrate their fire and retreat before the enemy can offer effective resistance. The Com 2D's communication gear, Crystal Flower RG 2, as well as the Star Shark targeting system, were produced by the Harthus on Tarkit. Now, the different variants. So we have the Com 1A. The original Commando was used as a prototype equipment that was similarly primitive to those found in the first battle mech, the Mackie, and was completely replaced by its successor, first constructed in 2463. The mech was equipped with only an Odin large laser mounted in its right arm. It was fitted with 5 tons of primitive armor, and the engine could move the mech up to its maximum speed up to around 80 kilometers an hour. These were early commandos that took part in the Battle of Nox in 2475 against the Draconis Combined Forces. The Com 1AK, created by Welsh Royal Industrial Repair and Heavy Machinery on Coomberg. This Retrotech Commando variant replaces the large laser of the Com 1A with a medium laser in each arm, supported by a head-mounted small laser. The remaining tonnage is devoted to additional armor for a total of 7.5 tons. The Com 1B, because the idea of a commando was, that was armed like its ancestor with a long-range, large laser, appealed to many mech warriors. Lyran engineers developed the Com 1B in 3015. The variant welded a large laser and an SRM-2 in addition to the medium laser. To make space for these changes, the engineers had to remove the SRM-6 launcher. However, this variant was short-lived. Then we get down to the Com 1C. This version removed the missile racks and replaced them with an AC-2 with 1 ton of ammunition. It appears to have been an experiment in providing direct fire support. The Com 1D, this variant that appeared in 2480, exists as a transition from the Com 1A to the 2D and has maintained a regular but low-profile existence throughout the Commando's history. It fields a large laser and an SRM-6 rack, but only 3 tons of armor. The 2DR, the Jihad-era update of the old Com 2D, drops all of the existing weaponry and replaces it with a case-protected MLM-7 and a single ER medium laser. The Com 3A, this variant carries 2 SRM-6 launchers, a medium laser, and a flamer. This was accomplished by removing the SRM-4 launcher and lowering the amount of armor in the mech by 1 ton. This variant appeared in 3025 and became quite popular because of its hitting power. Excuse me. All right, we have the 4H. The Martin Hegemony 4H variant of the Commando is used in the periphery and removes all the SRM launchers and replaces them with rocket launcher 15s as well as a second medium laser. We have a 5S. The 5S was introduced in 3050 and was the first mass-produced Commando to feature recovered Star League era technology. Its new Cyclops Multitasker 10 targeting system links the Artemis 4 fire control system to the Coventry 90M SRM-6, which replaces the Shannon 6-shooter and exchanges the SRM-4 for a Coventry T4H Streak SRM-2 launcher. Additionally, the chassis had been upgraded with endosteel, the armor has been upgraded to ferrofibrous, and case has been added to protect the ammunition. The variant is also equipped with a new communication system called Cyclops 14. The Com 7S. This update of the Com 5S, introduced in 3064, is also built on an endosteel chassis, but uses a light fusion engine. The mech carries 2 Streak SRM-2s and a SRM-4 and an Artemis 4 fire control system, and a pair of ER medium lasers. We have the Com 7A, initially a refit made and an official Coventry Metalworks production variant after its successful use by Task Force Serpent on Huntress. The endosteel structured 7A maximizes armor, two SRM-4 packs with 2 tons of case-protected ammo are accompanied by a medium laser. Then we have the 7B. Following the conquest of Coventry by the word of Blake, the jihadists modified the 7S to meet their specifications. The 7B keeps one ER medium laser in the left arm but adds 2 flamers to it, making the 7B a lethal threat to unarmored infantry. A small cockpit makes room for 2 SRM-4s, which are still fed by a case-protected ammunition bin. The weight savings enabled engineers to add 1 additional ton of armor and enough jump jets to rocket the Commando up to 120 meters at a time. We have the 7J, initially a refit, made an official Coventry Metalworks production variant after its successful use by Task Force Serpent as well. On Huntress, the endo-steel structure of the 7J features jump jets, 2 SRM-4 packs with 2 tons of case-protected ammo are accompanied by a medium laser. So almost identical to what we had in the 7B. The 7T, the Blazing Inferno 2, originating in the Civil War era, the population popularized decades later. The 7T carries an extensive array of lasers, 4 Defiance Model 12 ER mediums, 5 diverse optics ER smalls, and a single op, uh, OMMEC or OMPEC J small laser. If I can only speak today, it's some of these names do get to be tongue twisters. I apologize. Shortly, supported by only 11 double heat sinks, triple strength myomer allows it to use its heat to its advantage. We have the 7W, initially a refit, again made an official Coventry Metalworks production variant after the successful use by Task Force Serpent on Huntress. The endosteel structured 7W was laden with ammunition for sustained use. A Streak SRM-2 pack with 1 ton of ammo and a SRM-4 pack with 2 tons are supported by 2 medium lasers. The 7X, one of the several common mercenary refits of the 2D that arose out of the succession wars, the 7X replaces the SRM-4 with 2 additional medium lasers and an extra ton of SRM-6 ammo. The 7Y, one of several common mercenary refits of the 2D that arose out of the succession wars. The 7Y replaces the SRM-4 with 2 additional medium lasers and an extra ton of armor. Then we have the 7Y2 Blazing Inferno, particularly popular among the common mercenary refits of the 2D that arose out of the succession wars. Saving money on ammunition, the 7Y2 replaces both SRM packs with an extra ton of armor, an expanded array of lasers. We have 6 small lasers and 4 medium lasers are spread across the mech, supported by only 10 base heat sinks. So kind of a trade-off, but you're going to have to watch your heat with that. We do have a 7Z, a 2D refit integrating newly recovered case. The 7Z couples it with 5.5 tons of armor for durability. It comes with 2 medium lasers and an SRM-6 pack. All right, we have the 7Z2 variant of the 7Z. The 7Z2 lacks case and carries 2 small lasers, an SRM-6 pack, and a Beagle active probe. Now we get the COM 8S. This version of the Commando uses endosteel chassis an XL engine and propels it with a maximum of 110 kilometers an hour. It carries a pair of Streak SRM-2 launchers in the right arm, fed by the Case 2 protected bay and a pair of ER medium lasers in the left arm. A C3 boosted slave allows the commando to share targeting data with friendly forces, and a supercharger allows it to reach speeds of 140 kmh in short bursts. Finally, we get the 9S. Based off the chassis of the 8S, the 9S changes the normally short range commando with long range harasser, removing the C3 boosted slave and existing weaponry for a pair of torso mounted medium laser missiles or medium range missiles, 3 racks to emulate the standard SRM-6 of earlier models, whilst providing LRM fire, generally carrying a ton of each type or each missile type. The usual medium laser of the Commando is replaced by a longer ranged light PPC with a pair of improved one-shot SRM-2s being sole exclusively short-ranged weapons. And then we have 2 custom variants here. So we have the COM 1A Commando de Salva, uh, piloted by Raul Diesel de Salva of Colby's Commandos. The primitive mech's power plant was upgraded to a standard fusion engine with the SRM-6 added to the left forearm. And then we have the 7S2 Commando Freyer, the personal mech of Artusian Guards member turned treacherous hunter's paradise guide, Zev Fryer. His commando has been extensively modified with both clan and experimental technologies, retaining only the endo-steel chassis and case of his former stock COM 5S model. Fryer has replaced the standard weapons with light clan tech systems, including 2 Streak SRM-4 launchers in its right arm with a single ton of reloads and a pair of medium lasers mounted on the left arm. The use of the small cockpit and the salvage clan extra light engine save enough weight to switch to double strength heat sinks, as well as carry 6 jump jets and 7 tons of hardened armor. All right. Um, Looks like there are some other variants here. We have a COM 2P. This variant of the Commando has SRM-4 mounted on the center torso, a medium laser in the left arm, and an SRM-4 in the right arm. It uses the tons saved to mount a mask system. This is from MechWarrior Online Legends. Or no, that's Houses of the Innersphere expansion pack for MechWarrior 5. And then we also have MechWarrior 5 Legends. And again, now these are video game variants. Um, we're going to pass on those for today. Just keeping it a little bit more in game and going from there. Now, I don't know if I updated the cost, which I think I slipped up on. The standard light mech that originally is going to be kind of debuted here, um, the COM 2D, goes for a cost of 1,823,750 C-Bells. I will try to make sure I get that in on the other one, but I don't think I had originally put it in there. That is our base model that we will be seeing in the D6 universe. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't change things up or whatever, because that is a nice thing. D6 is very forgiving on just doing some slight upgrades or adding things on that really shouldn't, but you can just add it or whatever. However you want to play it. I think if I was going to run it, I would probably leave a mech as that mech. You can buy a different variant or whatever else, but just keep that mech as that mech. And then we just go from there. So let's get on over to our D6 universe and see what we got. All right. So looking at the Commando, of course, this is going to be Walker scale. We're still roughly about the same 8 meters tall. Um, these are all going to be roughly the same size here. Once we get into some of the heavier ones, that my height might be a little off. So um, I might have to take that out. I don't know because it's not always easy finding the exact height of some of these. And I know I started doing that, and I really haven't worried about it so much lately because I'm sure that a lot of these are fairly close to that same height here. We do have that crew of one, passengers none, of course, keeping that same cargo capacity of 25 kilograms. I did add in the cost, so the 1,823,750 seabells. I put the cost in there instead of having the cover because I don't think we really need that for the battle mechs. Altitude range, of course, that's going to be ground here. Maneuverability, um, a 2D plus one is still going to be okayish. I haven't really, I know I've talked about it in some of the other videos. I haven't worked out a chart to really work on where our maneuverability should be. Where I think some of the lighter mechs should probably be a little bit more maneuverable than, say, some of the heavier mechs. We do have that same movement speed of about 91 kilometers an hour. Um, just checking here. I think that's actually, we've got it listed as 97, but it's the same, technically, it's the same amount of hexes that we would have with our other one. So it's kind of a horse apiece. So I got it changed up to 97. All right. There is no jump on this because there's no jump jets on the standard model. Later on, we get that. Our body strength, because this is now 25 uh, tons, it is a 2D plus 2. Or if you're just going off of how many armor points you have, there's 64 points of armor on here. Our weapons, so we do have the one medium laser. It's in the left arm. Fire control is going to be a 2D. Damage is 5D. We do have one SRM-6. This is the center torso. Fire control is 2D. And again, the 4D for the first missile plus one or whatever. So that's going to come out to being about a 9D for an SRM-6 if you're firing all six missiles. Now, if you want to play it off that you're firing one at a time, that works a little different. That's why I have that set up that way. However you prefer to do this, okay? We do have 15 reloads of six missiles. So if you wanted to, I mean, I could, you know, add that in there, how many missiles in all, because that should equal out to the same as what we have for the SRM-4. Uh, as I think they actually say somewhere how many missiles that is or whatever. That's how we're getting all these. Let's see. So then we have an SRM-4 in the right arm. Fire control is going to be 2D. And if you're firing all four, it's going to be 7D damage. And you have 25 reloads with that because you're only shooting four out at a time. And it's only 1 ton of ammo. So there we are. Uh, Not a bad little mech. Like I said, this is the first one that we're getting that is not part of the original 12. That really the big lawsuit was over. The first ones that they had started off with. And when they first started off, they had little booklets for each individual mech. So it was all done differently back then. And then they had combined it into our tech manual, and then we went on from there. So the game's gone through a huge amount of changes throughout the years, coming from just small little booklets of this is the one mech to the tech manual that we're so used to today, and then even the reprints and re-updated versions of those tech manuals to make sure that they're compliant with everything else. So, and the game itself has changed. Um, Parts of the game has changed. I mean, we've gone through Mech Warrior 1, Mech Warrior 2, or, as far as how to run the role playing game, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing here. Essentially, this would be the D6 Mech Warrior, having it so that way you can turn a corner, there's a mech sitting there staring right down at you, and you're trying to figure out how to flee for your life. Um, Not the position you really want to be in, but it's some of those things that can happen. And I want to really be able to bring that into a good sense of a role playing game. Again, and as always, if I was doing Battletech as Battletech, I would keep the traditional rules and that we had gotten from FASA so many years ago, which is still carried over into Catalyst. A lot of the base rules are still the same rules. Now, things have been changed and modified and kind of expanded upon, but the same base rules are still the same base rules. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always wonderful having you here. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.